Well, I'm so pleased to be talking to Chelsea Berman, who is a wonderful artist from the Central Coast of New South Wales. She has a terrific country pop sound, and her latest single is actually with Chris Rose, and it's called Things We Shouldn't Do. She also occasionally writes a sad song, which we'll talk about. Chelsea, hello.
Hello, yes, only occasionally. You've got to have some happy songs and some sad songs.
True. I do like your upbeat songs as well, though. But I wanted to actually start right at the beginning of your musical life, because from what I understand, you started performing at the age of 8. I'm wondering where and what was that first performance?
Yes, it's been a while. My first kind of, I guess, introduction to singing was definitely the school choir. Right. So I think I auditioned to get in. I think you had to back then. I don't know if you still do. And my parents, they didn't think I could sing. Apparently when I was singing around the house, I was quite tone deaf. So they were quite shocked that I got in, but apparently I'd been practicing. But yeah, then they could see how interested I was in singing. So they got me singing lessons, which was lovely. So that was kind of, when I probably started getting into it and actually learning how to sing, I guess. And I think my first ever performance was at a venue that used to be here on the Central Coast, Lizottes, which is in Newcastle as well. But yeah, it was much smaller here. And my first ever performance with my singing teacher, he was playing piano for me. And I still remember being so nervous, and the video, we still have the video. And I'm just kind of standing there, just not even smiling, just getting through it because I was so nervous. So that was kind of my first performance. I think I've improved a little bit since then. But yeah, I kind of started out doing jazz, which was random, and then kind of moved into musical theatre and then pop, and then kind of made my way into country, I guess.
I guess that's kind of one of the tensions of being an artist, is that to have that nervousness about performing, but still want to do it anyway. And, you got to get past the nerves. Do you still feel a lot of nerves when you perform?
Not really, not anymore. Just depends on the performance, I guess, how important it is, how many people are in the audience. If it's like a huge crowd, sometimes that can be really nerve-wracking. So just depends. But yeah, obviously you kind of get those coping mechanisms to cope with that and get a bit more confident, I guess.
So as a child, you performed with your singing teacher, were you in a high school choir as well, or had you moved beyond the choir by then?
I wasn't in a high school choir, but I was in the performing arts class, and we had like a glee club, which is, similar, but had the dancing and everything, which was fun. So yeah, didn't really leave the school choir group kind of singing, but I definitely loved doing that all throughout high school pretty much.
So you said you started in jazz, and then there was progression partly through musical theatre. Was that the music you were actually listening to that you loved as a child, or that was the stuff you were put in to perform?
Yeah, I think it was more kind of the singing teachers I was with. So the first one was kind of a jazz singer and singing teacher. So that was kind of how that happened. And I definitely didn't listen to jazz. But then musical theatre, I definitely was interested in. And I think that kind of came from my singing teacher. She was very like musical and kind of classical also. But I also was doing musicals at the local musical theatre company here. So really enjoyed that around that time. So that's kind of why I guess I got into the musical theatre side of things, but definitely was not what suited my voice whatsoever. So I'm glad I kind of got past that.
So what were you listening to then as a kid? Because sometimes we can keep our tastes from childhood and carry them through, and sometimes they evolve. So did your taste change, I guess, from childhood through teenage years?
Yeah, it was probably mostly pop. And I guess kind of what was on the radio. I know my first kind of fangirl moment was Hilary Duff. So I loved her in Lizzie McGuire and when she, had her music career. So she was definitely my first one that I loved. But my parents used to listen to different people around the house, like Michael Bublé. I was really into him because my parents listened to him, saw him live, all of that sort of thing. So it's been like a few random people, but yeah, definitely kind of pop, I would say. Not really many of the other genres as much.
So if you were doing musical theatre in high school, that's quite a bit of extra work on top of high school, because there's all the rehearsal and the performing. At some stage you picked up guitar because you play guitar. So did that happen around that time as well, or was it after you stopped doing musical theatre?
Yeah, it was when I was quite young, I started playing guitar because I think I kind of realized that it was a good thing to have, and that, if I wanted to play live and write songs, I was kind of attempting to write songs at that point. They definitely weren't very good, but, I tried. I actually started taking guitar lessons when I was quite young, but I hated I still don't love playing guitar, to be totally honest with you. I prefer singing and prefer kind of the performing. So, but I do, play guitar still and love it as a songwriting tool and think it's so important. I'm glad I did learn it, but I don't really love the practicing that comes with it. And, really you have to work so hard to be good at guitar. And I just don't have that in me for guitar specifically.
And it's interesting that you say it is a great tool for writing songs, because every songwriter I've ever spoken to, they have a tool, whether it's piano or guitar usually. And so it's obviously helpful. Well, I guess it's helpful in helping you to nut out what's going on. Like you have something to work out ideas on. Is that what you mean by using it as a tool?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's pretty hard, I would say. I've never done it, but I would say it would be pretty hard to write a song without any form of instrument that you're kind of playing along with it. I know people do kind of electronic beats and stuff, whatever they do there. So that's another option. But I've always used guitar for that. And it's definitely helpful to see what it's going to sound like. And sometimes you come up with a melody and then you go to play it on guitar and you can't find the chords that work with it and you have to end up changing it. So I think it is important to have something that you can really create the song with, I guess.
So when you first started writing songs, were you basing the chord progressions on songs that you loved already? Because I would think that's a fairly logical thing to do for a young songwriter.
Yeah, look, I think when I first started, I only knew probably a few chords. So I was probably just using those main ones, but they're still, the chords I use and a lot of people use because they're kind of those main chords that are in a lot of songs. So I'd say I was using the ones that I knew and also the ones that were in a lot of popular songs for sure. Yeah.
Well, look, I've looked at some of Taylor Swift's chord progressions and she has some favorites that she's been using for a long time. So I think you're in good company if you do that.
Yes.
So after you've written those early songs, because you have a songwriting deal now, so clearly songwriting is a big part of your work. So after you got through those early songs and started to progress as a songwriter, was there a moment that you felt like it really clicked as something that you could continue to do?
Yeah, I think it was when I started writing songs that other people kind of found catchy and that they wanted to listen to. I think that was a really cool moment because, before that I'd kind of just been dabbling and, attempting to write songs. And obviously I was young then, so I didn't really have a lot to write about, a lot of life experience. But I think it was when I kind of started getting into more of that actual catchy, like songs that might be played on the radio, that sort of thing. And other people were enjoying them and singing along to them and learning them. That was a really cool moment. And I think that was when I was like, maybe I can write songs.
Did you road test them on your friends and family before you performed with some people? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I had to show them to them. I know my parents listened to a lot of my songs and my ideas, so apologies to them. But the ones now aren't as bad, so that's okay.
Are your parents musical?
No. Oh. No, they just love music and they played a lot of music in terms of on the stereo when I was younger. So I think I was always surrounded by music being played, but no, they don't play music themselves, so it's just me.
And in becoming a singer, because you obviously had a lot of that early experience in your teenage years, you had lessons, you were performing, in finding and you also said that musical theatre and your voice were not really a match. How tricky was it to find the match for your voice, I guess, because for people who don't sing, they may not realize that voices suit different genres. And it's not, a jazz singer can't necessarily sing rock, for example. So was there a moment there when it clicked for you that it was country music or country pop?
Yeah. So funny story, actually. There is a story behind that. So I used to do singing as Stedfords when I was with my singing teacher, which absolutely hated them. They were so stressful, so nerve-wracking. And I think I had, many nervous attacks, before singing as Stedford. But she entered me in the country section, and pretty sure it was like me and two other people because everyone was very musical theatre and kind of classical. That was, singing as Stedfords. So it was me and two other people, but I won the country section. And I guess that kind of put in my head, maybe country suits my voice because I won this, and people were kind of telling me, you sounded so good at that country song, and I was kind of learning more about it and listening to it a bit more. So that was kind of, I guess, when I noticed that my voice suited it. And then I think from there when I really started listening to it more and found that country pop genre, which was really a mix of the pop that I love listening to and what suited my voice. So it was really cool to find that genre that really suited me and that I love listening to. And now I, only listen to country pop. So it works well.
And yeah, because I imagine for some singers it might be a realization they don't like, that there's a genre that they can sing and they're really good at that's not a form of music they like. But it's
Yeah.
like for you, it clicked, which is great.
Yes, I didn't have that problem, luckily.
And so you say you listen to a lot of country pop. Who are you listening to at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment, the last few days I've been going back to Danielle Bradbury. She's just incredible songwriter and vocalist as well, just insane. But usually I'm listening to people like Kelsey Ballerini, Casey Musgraves, Carly Pearce in terms of females, but a lot of Australian as well, like Travis Collins and Wolf Brothers and all of those sort of people. So yeah, I'd say I have quite a few people that I really love. Morgan Wallen as well. Love everything he puts out. So yeah, there's quite a few, but it changes in terms of the ones that I listen to the most, but I usually go back to my favorites a lot.
In terms of other Australian artists, you have co-written with Troy Kemp, Kirsty Lee Akers, and Melanie Dyer, amongst others. Do you have a favourite co-writer? No, even if you do, I'm sure you can't say.
Yeah, no, hard to say, but I guess the ones that I've gone back to quite a few times, Troy Kemp, like we've written, I think 3 of the kind of main singles that I've released. So he seems to be a favourite because I keep going back to him. We keep writing awesome songs. So yeah, I definitely say him, but it's just incredible to be able to write with people that I've looked up to for so long. And yeah, it's just crazy that I get to do that. So yeah, love writing with all of them, but I'd say I definitely keep going back to Troy, and we kind of seem to work well together, I'd say.
It's, of course, it's impossible to put your finger on why a co-writing relationship could work, because it's just that alchemy. And obviously you two had it from the start. Who was the first co-writer you worked with, if you can remember?
Yeah, I can remember. It was Rachel Fahim. So it was when she won Star Maker that year, and I think I connected with her on Instagram or something along those lines. And asked her to write with me, and she said yes, and I was so excited. And I didn't really know what a co-write was or what I was supposed to do, so I kind of had a song already kind of written, but I wanted to rewrite it with her. I guess that was what I kind of came into it doing. So bought the song, and we kind of completely rewrote it, which was cool. And that was my first kind of experience with co-writing, and ever since then I've loved it and done it so much. So yeah, it was good first experience for sure.
That's an interesting creative decision, though, to say you have a song that was pretty much written, but you wanted someone else's input. Was it following an instinct that told you that it wasn't quite right?
Yeah, I think I just wanted someone else's opinion and creativity in it. And I wouldn't say I've done that again, like bought a full song to someone to rewrite, but definitely bringing ideas, and maybe you have the verse done or you have the chorus done, or sometimes you write it completely together. So it just depends. But yeah, I think that's the only time I've actually bought a full song to someone. So don't know if it was the best decision, but it was my first co-write, so that was all I kind of knew what to do, I guess.
But it also indicates that you're not precious or protective about your own work. Like, you're not there going, oh, I know what's absolutely best for me and my songs, and no one else can come near it. You're quite willing to expose yourself to what could be criticism, because you could have another writer saying, you know what, that's really not working. How did you arrive at that? Or is it just something that you knew was the right thing to do for your work?
Yeah, I think it's just something that you kind of have to do and not be too, hard on yourself. If it just happens so much in co-writing, and, you might say, oh, why don't we do this, and come up with an idea, and someone's like, nah. And obviously, they're not meaning to be rude about it, and no one's rude in a co-write or anything like that, but it's just, you want to make the best song possible. So sometimes you're going to shut down other people's ideas. So yeah, you just have to have a bit of a thick skin and just know that you can put all the ideas out there. They're not all going to work, but sometimes you might find something that works. So you always need to put it out there anyway and just see what happens, really.
Yeah, I think it is having a thick skin to an extent, because to me it sounds like quite a brutal process to be in a room with someone else who's like, nah. Yeah. Do you find when you're listening to other people's ideas and you want to give feedback that you sometimes think, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing here?
Yeah, definitely. And especially when I'm writing with, these people that I do look up to, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't want to sound rude or anything. But yeah, usually I'm just kind of like, oh, maybe we can try something else if I'm not really vibing with something. But, the people that I write with, usually I love everything that they say anyway. So it's okay.
So were you doing a lot of Zoom co-writing over the lockdown periods?
Yeah, and it was really cool because I got to write with people overseas, which I hadn't really done before, because obviously Zoom was a thing, but people weren't really doing co-writing over Zoom, and you kind of had to actually go to the country to write with someone, like in Nashville. So I think it was cool to be able to start writing with people in Nashville and Canada. I've written with quite a few people there. So it was really awesome. And yeah, I definitely spent a lot of lockdown writing songs because not much else to do, obviously. But yeah, it was a really good way to keep busy and keep creative.
Yeah, it was an interesting part of that story, that COVID story. I think how many musicians, how many songwriters actually found connections overseas. And it's interesting to know that there's all this music that's going to emerge that wouldn't have otherwise, but also shows, I think, how agile you all were to just go, oh, well, we have to find a different way to do this, even with, delays on vocals going back and forth. Have you found that using technology that way can be a bit frustrating as well, just because you don't have that immediacy of being in the room?
Yeah, it's definitely different. And you do have internet issues, which can be really hard when you're trying to sing an idea and you can't hear the person and it's all crackly. That's very frustrating. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience because, when you are in the room with someone, you kind of have a chat first, get to know each other, maybe get some food or a drink or whatever. But this is very, we're here to write a song, we're going to do it, which I do like, get it done, but it's definitely a bit different to writing in person. But yeah, I think we've all kind of just gotten used to it now and it works well and it's brought out some great songs for everyone. So I think we can continue doing it for sure.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the conditions of the last 2 years, you actually released your EP, Can You Just Not, into pandemic conditions, in that it was released in 2021.
Yes.
Look, I imagine at a certain point, artists who had songs recorded had to think either we're going to hold on to them and see what happens, or we're just going to put it out there. For you, were those sorts of considerations happening?
Yeah, by that stage, I think I just was so over it, as everyone was. So I think I'd been writing a lot. I'd been, in the studio recording and they were all ready to go. So I'm like, I might as well just do it. And I was going to have my kind of big EP launch at Tamworth. But instead I kind of did a live stream version, which it was really fun. And I still, got to experience it and celebrate it. And it still, did well, even though I couldn't go and play the songs live. So yeah, it still worked out really well. And I'm very happy I did it. But yeah, obviously it was just different conditions to usual.
When you say you did well, it reached number 1 on the iTunes.
Yeah.
That must have been a lovely moment.
Oh, it was. And I kind of woke up to it because sometimes you wake up to it there, but sometimes it kind of gets there during the day once you get more people to get it. So yeah, I think I woke up at midnight or 1 a.m. because I was really excited and wanted to see, and it was number 1. I was just like, what is going on? So yeah, very exciting to wake up to that. And that just was the cherry on top of all the hard work, I think.
I think that's part of what's changing about releasing music is you've got to encourage people to do the pre-save, pre-order thing when there were just CDs around. That was not really a thing. And so now it's encouraging your fans to pre-order so you can hit that ranking. But it's a lot of working ahead of time, I guess, to get people excited.
Yeah, a lot of social media posts and live streams and all of the things. But yeah, it's always fun releasing new music, and I love all the lead up to it and getting people excited and posting sneak peeks and all of that sort of thing. I really enjoy that.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because I'm going to have to keep doing a lot of it, I imagine.
Yeah.
Now, right at the top, I mentioned the occasional sad song, and on that EP, there is a song called Your Call, which is a real heartbreaker, and I think it's mainly a heartbreaker because of the way you sing it, because you've actually captured this sense of loneliness and not desperation, but it's just like that singing from a place of someone feeling so alone that they really need to make a connection with someone. I mean, that's the message of it. It's like anybody's better than nobody. And you wrote that song with Melanie Dyer and Michael Carpenter, and that's a really interesting matchup, I think, the three of you. So I'm wondering how that collaboration came about.
Yeah. So at the time I was recording some of my songs with Michael. I didn't do the EP with him, but I did a few songs beforehand. So that was kind of, I guess, how me and him got to know each other, and he knew Mel really well. And I'd written with Mel one time before as well. And we kind of just got together. I think I asked one of them to write with me, and they were like, oh, why don't we bring them along as well, kind of thing, which happens quite a bit, which is fun. So yeah, got them both in the room, and we started with a completely different song, but we kind of wrote a verse. We weren't really feeling it, and then this kind of idea came to be. So yeah, really, really happy with how it turned out, and they were awesome to write with.
Yeah. And when you came to record it, because as I've said, you often record and release quite upbeat songs, which is great because everyone needs upbeat songs, particularly at the moment. But yeah, that was, actually, now that I've heard a bit more about your background, I understand how you can access that because you're used to tapping into characters in musical theatre. Was there a bit of that when you recorded the song?
Definitely. And it was funny because usually, I guess, in the recording process, I kind of go in, record the guide vocal, which is just kind of a messy vocal just to get it down so they can kind of produce around it and, you know, play all the instruments and all the things they do. But this time I went to record the guide vocal and I think I really kind of got into the emotion of the song, and my producer, Rod McCormack, was like, let's just record it now. Like, you're ready to do it. I don't think I was even warmed up properly. But yeah, we kind of just did it there and then because I was kind of in that headspace. And I think that's what you kind of have to be in the studio. You can't really not connect with the song when you're recording it. So yeah, it was funny how it kind of happened. Wasn't meant to happen that way, but it worked out well, obviously. So it was good.
And I should say the title track of the EP, Can You Just Nod, is a real earworm. So if anyone's going to play it, they need to be prepared to have it in their head for a while. So as you said, Rod McCormack produced that EP for you, and he's also on the Central Coast. Was that a Central Coast connection, or did you meet him some other way?
Yeah, so I actually, when I was quite younger, I was in Gina Jeffrey's singing kind of school she had on the Central Coast. So yeah, did a bit of singing with her and knew her. And then, yeah, I kind of met him a few times over the years. And I think I got onto him because my friend Bryce Sainty, he was recording with him at the time and I was really enjoying what he was doing. And yeah, I thought I'd kind of try him out for the EP, and I'm so glad I did because it was awesome. So yeah, I kind of am doing all my songs with him now, and it's so convenient having him on the Central Coast as well because it's literally like 15 minutes away, so I can kind of go in, go out, and kind of it's easy to work together, which is awesome. But yeah, he's just incredible, so I'm so glad I get to work with him.
And as I mentioned, you've released a song with Chris Rose. You've also released a song with Jake Davey. So duets are obviously something you enjoy as well. Is that an extension, I guess, of that collaborative process you're used to with songwriting?
Yeah, so I actually was in a duo for many years when I was in primary school and high school, the whole of high school and a little bit of primary school. So that's definitely been like a thing that I've always had in me and always enjoyed. So I think that's probably where it comes from. And even now, like when I'm on stage, I love having, you know, performers with me and guitarists with me. And it just kind of brings back that feeling of being in that duo, which was really fun. So I think that's probably where it comes from. And obviously I love doing things by myself, but it's always so much fun when you can get someone else in it and perform with someone else and be creative with someone else and create something. So yeah, I think that's probably where it comes from.
I guess in Australian country music, there are a lot of people to choose from, and Troy Kemp, your co-writer, is great at duets as well. So you're yet to record one with him. I'm going to gently suggest that you think about it if you haven't already.
Yes, no, I will. I'll hit him up after this.
Not that you should take advice from me, but now I've noticed you're on TikTok. Some artists are on TikTok, not everyone. TikTok is a different beast to social media. You've all had to get your heads around Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, doing all sorts of things before releases. How do you feel about TikTok as an artist? Is it sort of something that you're still getting used to? But I guess also you can get a lot more people listening to your music on TikTok than you can in other platforms.
Yeah, no, it's awesome for like reach and, you know, getting a lot of people to your platform for sure. I think I was on TikTok a lot in terms of just being a user before I kind of created an account and started posting things. So I kind of learned, you know, what worked well and what didn't. But yeah, in terms of my TikTok, like I haven't really done much music related content. I guess I kind of just have it as a bit of a personal thing. And, you know, sometimes I post music content on there, and obviously a lot of music people kind of follow me on there. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's too much of a promotional tool, but it's kind of just a bit of fun. And yeah, it does direct some people to my music. But yeah, some musicians completely blow up on TikTok and get, you know, record deals and so much from it. So the potential is incredible if you do want to really put in the hard work. But yeah, I think it's a lot of hard work to actually get to that. So yeah, haven't done that yet, but maybe one day I'll take it more seriously.
Well, I think it's, as the way you went about it is the right way. I think you watched a lot of it and saw what worked and what didn't work before you plunged in yourself, because it is a completely different skill set. And I really applaud artists for trying to keep on top of everything that's changing as a way to get your music out to people, because it's a lot. I think it's a lot.
Changing every day.
So what's next for you? Are you working on, you said you're working with Rod McCormack now, like that's your producer. So it sounds like there are other songs coming perhaps.
Yes, I have a new single coming out June 17th, so a few weeks, which is very exciting. So that one's called Break Up with a Friend, and that one I wrote with 2 Canadian writers over Zoom. I think it was in lockdown or some sort of COVID time. It was a little while ago now, but yeah, it's kind of always stuck with me, and I wanted it to be the next single. And again, it's another sad one, so you might like it. So yeah, bringing back the sad songs.
Again, like sad songs are great. It always depends on how they perform. You just completely nailed that one in such a beautiful way that I think that's why it's why it's so memorable, because some sad songs don't stand out. But every time I think of that song, I just think, yeah, it really resonates. So I'm hoping that people watch this interview and go out and listen to that song and your other songs. Yeah. But for now, we have a new single to look forward to. And Chelsea, it was so good to talk to you and find out about your songwriting and performing life. Good luck with the new single, and hopefully I'll talk to you when there's other new music coming out.
Yes, definitely. No, thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Pleasure.